Jordi, did you cook the pescado and the gazpacho also today?
No. Fortunately, I was working here on a Jaleo project, but I'll have the wines. I'm happy with that.
Perfect.
But we pair sometimes with Ramon at Jaleo, so we know for sure that it works.
I'm trying the pescado al adobo with the manzanilla, and that's incredible, eh?
Maravilla.
This is heaven.
Yep.
We're going to have some really good conversation about these pairings. I'm so excited. So as we're letting people in, just to kind of say hello and introduce. So this is going to start in a webinar format. So you're going to see those of us who are on the screen now talking to you, and we're going to see some amazing chef demonstrations from Chef Ramon, who's in Jaleo in Las Vegas. So we've got a couple different time zones represented here. Please use the chat box. Often, always, if you have any questions, we want to make sure that we answer them tonight. You are going to learn a lot in this session, and we're so happy to welcome you. So my name is Erin. I'm with Olé Obrigado, and we're an importer of artisanal Spanish and Portuguese wines. This is our 10th food and wine pairing experience, believe it or not, and I'm so excited that we have our friends here from Jaleo and also from World Central Kitchen. Sam was in our very first food and wine pairing event back in September, so it's great to have you back, Sam. We've got a few things that we want to talk to you about tonight, and we really want to make sure that we see all of the food demonstrations part. So we're going to talk to you a little bit about the wines. We're going to get into pairing theory later from Jordi, who's our sommelier with Jaleo, and we're going to talk about the history of the dishes when we talk with Chef Ramon. So we just want to make sure that you know what's coming and keep those questions coming in our chat. But first, I'd love to introduce Patrick Mata, founder of Olé Obrigado. He's just going to tell you a little bit about why we started this series and then why we wanted to talk about these particular wines tonight, why we're so excited about pairing food and wine. So he'll just give you a couple thoughts about each of the three wines, as well as what order we recommend. You should definitely start drinking wine now if you haven't already, anyone you want. So without further ado, let me introduce you, to Patrick Mata. And we'll go from there.
Okay, now, thank you, Erin. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on our 10th episode. And these experiences is the result, these food and wine pairing experiences is the result of our passion for wine and food. And we try to not only showcase the talent of these great chefs in the US who make beautiful Spanish or Portuguese cuisine, but also it's a platform, these events, to help great foundations, great causes that make this world a better place. And since we started, 100% of the profits have been donated to different charities, and we're very excited to be a part of this. We started with COVID, and many good things have happened, and this is one of them. I personally love pairing food with wine. I think it's one of the most rewarding things that anyone can do. And the idea behind these experiences is to explore, the techniques on how to best pair wine with food. And today it's gonna be a very special day because we have Ramón Martínez, one of the most talented Spanish chefs living in America. He works together with José Andrés, and his food is amazing, and we're so lucky to have him here. And we also have Jordi, who is one of the most talented people I know pairing food with wine. In fact, there are some competitions on this matter. For those of you who like the Olympics and like sports, there's such a thing as competitions for pairing wine with food. And Jordi wins every year, all these competitions. Most recently, he won the Copa de Jerez, which is an incredible award for matching, food with sherry, which is a fascinating beverage. And we're gonna talk a little bit more about that today. So again, I'm very, very excited to be here today. And we have three wines that we'll be featuring. We have a dry sherry, Manzanilla, Orleans Borbon. I'm gonna show you the label for those of you This is a beautiful dry sherry made by the royal family of Spain. And we will get more into this, but there are so many different types of sherries. This is the driest and the youngest of all the different types that are out there. And we will talk about how great Manzanilla. Manzanilla is the style of dry sherry that we have here, how good it is for pairing with different type of food. So this is a good one for today. Very not mainstream. Most people do not know much about dry sherry, but I'm excited to bring up this topic. Then we're gonna talk about liquid geography. This is one of our most exciting wines that we produce and import in the US. We donate 100% of the profits to charity. And we also have Liquid Geography Garnacha, which donates 50% of the profits to World Central Kitchen. And throughout the years, Liquid Geography has donated now over $400,000 to different causes. And we're so happy to be featuring Liquid Geography here today. And the last wine is made in the southwest of Spain. It's called Vara Pulgar, and it's made with a grape that is totally unknown by most people in the world. It's a grape called Tintilla, and it's a grape that is grown very close to the Atlantic Ocean, and it pairs extremely well with many different types of dishes, including fish. And this is gonna be a good one because most people think that red wine is for meat and white wine is for fish. Well, in this case, we're gonna explore with Jordi why some red wines actually go really well with fish. So I think I've said many things now, Erin. I'll give you the microphone.
Perfect. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you so much. So we want to introduce Sam Chappell-Sokol from World Central Kitchen, who is a repeat guest of ours on these experiences. And of course, one of the reasons why we're here, as Patrick mentioned, is to raise funds for a great cause. So to tell you a little bit more about World Central Kitchen, here's Sam. And we also want to hear about your history with our guests, Jordi and Ramon. Hi, Sam.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. If you hear a little shouting in the background, it's bath time for my toddler, so that might be picked up in the mics. So thank you so much for having me as a representative of World Central Kitchen. For any of you who don't know about us, we're an organization that what we do is provide nutritious meals to communities during and after natural disasters and other man-made crises. We invest in local food systems through our long-term resilience programming as well. If you know about us, you know about Chef José Andrés. We were founded 10 years ago in 2010 by Jose. He owns Jaleo. You'll see it in the background of Ramon's screen in Vegas, in DC. We're moving to Chicago, New York. I'll let Jordi and Ramon talk about that. But I used to work for the restaurant group for 3 years. I worked with Jose as a writer, so I worked closely with Jordi on wine things and Ramon on food things. Last year, I moved over to World Central Kitchen as the editorial director to write about the work that we do and tell stories from the ground. If you want to know a little bit more about our background, we got most famous after Hurricane Maria, which hit Puerto Rico in 2017. At that time, we cooked almost 4 million meals over the next six or 7 months. And since that moment, we've served almost 50 million meals around the world, in earthquakes and fires, in volcanoes. I was just down in St. Vincent after the volcano, and I can talk more about that later. In refugee crises, during the government shutdown in 2019. So we really spanned quite a number of disasters and crises in our short life. But I'm really happy to be here. Thank you all so much for supporting our work. Thank you to Olé Obrigado for welcoming us on this journey with you guys. So enjoy, and I'll be having some manzanilla for the next little while.
Perfect. Can't wait to hear what you think. So we're so glad you're back, Sam. Thanks for saying that. And we are all here because we want to learn about food, of course, and how these very special dishes pair with wine. So I think it's time to get into some food demonstration. Chef Ramón Martínez has already been introduced by Patrick, but we're so happy that you're here. Thank you, Chef. We're going to start with talking about the Gazpacho, a very famous dish that everybody does differently. So what do you have to tell us about your recipe and this dish?
Yes. So first of all, thank you very much for having for having Jordi and myself on such a special and amazing occasion, and especially like to pair like wines with food, which is something that Jordi and I love, and we enjoy so much, like doing it at the restaurant, because every time, you know, you have someone who's never had this experience, when they pair the food with the wine, you can see on their expression like the wow, you know, and this is the way that you make people to feel new experiences with wine and sherry and food. So today, actually, we're going to do something very simple. You say it's a gazpacho. Gazpacho is like almost like paella. Like everyone has their own way to make gazpacho. You know, it depends on the family, where you are, your culture, you know, but gazpacho comes traditionally from Andalusia, southern Spain, around the 8th century. So it comes like from many, many, many years ago. And literally gazpacho, it was like vinegar, a little bit of salt, a little bit of olive oil, and water all together. That was like the initial gazpacho. Obviously, you know, until we didn't get the tomatoes from America and back to the centuries, you know, that we were able to get like peppers and other vegetables from America. That's when people start to like introduce things on the gazpacho. And as I said, you'll see in Spain, people put like onion, people doesn't. So it's like a little personal thing. But there's some basic ingredients in the gazpacho that we're going to make today, which is tomato, because we're going to make a traditional tomato gazpacho. Tomato, in this case, we get like beautiful California tomatoes that they start to get like really nice now. They're getting in season, so they're very juicy. They have a very nice acidity and also a sweetness touch that makes the gazpacho like very, very mellow. Then a little bit of green pepper, obviously some garlic, which if you haven't made the gazpacho, you know, for this one, I mean, if you get like peeled garlic, also it's going to be like less stronger than if you use like whole ball. So in this case, we're going to use 2. And then cucumber, you know, cucumber also, it's a personal thing. There's people who like cucumber, there's not, but in this way, actually, this gazpacho is very special for us because it's Jose's wife's recipe. So it's the gazpacho that we serve in all jaleos, and that's one of the first dishes that Tichi, his wife, cooked for him, actually. And it has like a nice history because like they come from Algeciras, and one of the amazing things and you know, the family tradition that they have there is put some oloroso, which I don't know if you were able to get oloroso, but in case you haven't, actually, today that you have that manzanilla, you could also like use instead of oloroso, a little manzanilla, because I tried it with that manzanilla actually, and it paired really, really well. Okay, so very simple, you know, like you get the tomatoes, you get all these. For the cucumber also, I like personally to cut it and take the seeds in. And that helps me also to not make the gazpacho too like strong and to repeat himself. Okay, so we like to like take the peel off, take all the seeds out and keep it. Okay, and then we have like just a little green pepper. You can use bell pepper, you can also use Italian pepper. Italian pepper works really, really well on the gazpacho. And then basically it's like, you know, the tomato. So you want to cut, you know, your tomatoes in a small amount. You'll see you have like, I'm sure like everyone has a blender like that at home, okay? So it's very, very simple. We're gonna put the tomatoes. We're gonna put the cucumber, 2 garlic cloves in that case, the green pepper, and that's amazing. This is like, you know, one of it's almost like a drinking salad. You can like make it, and it's in Spain, like literally, like we make this every day, no matter what, in the morning, put it on the fridge. And then when we come back from the beach, that's the first thing we do is like get a glass of gazpacho and drink it. Like it's like amazing. It's healthy, it's delicious, and it keeps you like, give you all that energy of when you came back from
Ramon, this is like the first smoothie ever created, no?
Yeah, exactly. The first, like, you know,
century.
vegetable smoothie. Yeah, healthy.
What type of olive oil do you like to use, Ramon?
So for that, I like to use arbequina for the gazpacho because it has like a little bit of banana and it has like more sweetness. It's not as bitter as it could be, or spicy as it could be a picual or another one. So for that one, actually, we use an arbequina that is also from Andalusia.
Okay, so you like a soft olive oil, no? A soft olive oil,
yes,
no?
Yes, not too strong, because if you put like a very bitter olive oil on the gazpacho, it would end up being like a strong and bitter, and you don't want that bitterness on the gazpacho. So yeah, we recommend to get like an extra virgin olive oil, but the acidity is not too high. So 0.4, 0.5 acidity.
That's great.
And then something nice is like I like to put a little bit of the oil first, Okay, because then we'll show you the trick on how to make your gazpacho very nice and creamy and emulsified, which is super easy. Okay, then the sherry vinegar, also like sherry vinegar from southern Spain, you know, like since Andalusia, it's like huge on sherry. They also huge on making like sherry vinegars. And those are like amazing. And they actually very easy to find, like them, like Jose sells them also in Whole Foods with oil. So it's like very easy to find like good sherry vinegar now. Okay. If you don't have sherry vinegar, then like you could use maybe a cider vinegar that we also use in Spain, or maybe like a red wine vinegar that is not too strong also to like concentrate. But I would like literally recommend, because it makes the gazpacho different, you know. And then actually when you put Doloroso, all the flavors, it makes sense. The sherry vinegar has a special touch of, you know, of wood sometimes that goes like really, really well in the gazpacho. Okay, so then we get Doloroso in this case. Okay, we get like a simple Doloroso sherry too. We put a little bit, if people was able to get it. If not, as I said, like I tried with the Manzanilla actually, and the saltiness, it pairs really well with the gazpacho. So you could totally use the same Manzanilla that you have been drinking to, like, you know, put that little touch on the gazpacho.
I've never seen gazpacho with wine. This is the first time in my life. I love it.
Yeah, so this is actually super, super popular from Algeciras, southern Spain. Like very, very on the end. And, you know, sherry is huge there. So it's very popular on that little town in Algeciras to add like Oloroso. So it's a very special, like traditional thing from that little country.
So not only is this the original smoothie from the 8th century, it's also the first Bloody Mary.
Yeah, that would be the Spanish Bloody Mary. Yeah, especially if you put more sherry.
With a little sherry in it. Perfect.
With a little extra sherry.
This is how kids in Spain get introduced to wine.
Yeah, and also like we have the gazpacho, but we also have so many other like cold soups. So the gazpacho, that one came, but as I was saying, like the original of the gazpacho, which was like water, vinegar, olive oil, and salt. Then, you know, people in Spain would add garlic, because we had the garlic, and then almonds, you know, and then adding garlic and almonds, we actually make the ajo blanco cordobés, which is a super traditional almond soup, or a white gazpacho that is from another region, you know. And then if you go to Antequera, you have porra antequerana, which is almost like a gazpacho, but they put more bread and they make it like thicker, and that's the porra antequerana, you know. So there's so many different soups like all over Andalusia, depend where you go, and depend like all like the traditions and what the family did, that you'll see like different versions of a gazpacho, like including many other products, you know. So that being said, the salt, we can mix the salt. We're gonna cover it. We're gonna put also the water. And slowly we're gonna start blending it.
What blender is that? What blender is that, Ramon?
Vitamix. The best one. And you did say in your recipe, Chef, that you could also use a hand blender at home, and that's going to be a different texture.
It's going to be a different texture. It's going to be a little more chunky, but still, there's people in Spain who likes the gazpacho like chunky and different, and like eating more like almost like a paste. So, you know, personally, I like it like drinkable, because like, as I say, like in my family, every day we come back from the beach, like, you know, the bottle of gazpacho would be always on the fridge, ready to have like, you know, the first vegetable smoothie. So now when we're talking about, you know, emulsifying, now that's what I didn't put all the oil. What we're going to do now is to slowly, when the gazpacho is being blended, we're going to turn a little down. And now we're going to slowly put the oil in. What's going to happen now, it's almost like the oil is emulsifying with all the liquids of the tomato and the water. And that's when it's going to make it smooth. And that's when it's going to give this creaminess amazing that I love in the gazpacho personally.
So how long does gazpacho keep in the fridge? Let's assume you're not using all the gazpacho.
Your gazpacho can perfectly hold like 4 or 5 days perfectly, because it's all raw vegetables, you know, and you keep it on the fridge, and it's so easy. So it's definitely something that if you have a space on your fridge, you can make a big batch and just keep it, and you know, you can use it for many different ways. And then that's important also when we strain it, you know, as I said, there's people who like this chunkiness and this like feeling of the tomato peel on the gazpacho. But personally, I like it like strained and smooth. So what I do is with one of the chinois and a little pot. Just put it right there. Now with the help of a ladle.
You do this for the texture also, no, Chef?
Yes, the texture, because it gives creaminess, and you know, it's always like we have to think that all these vegetables has peels, and the peeling of a vegetable is very difficult to like make it blended completely on a blender. So you're always gonna find, you know, these things. So when you do that, what's happened is like it gets super, super creamy, as you will see now. Because I have it already strained here.
Okay.
And as I said, the gazpacho, it's something that you can drink, but it's also something that you can make a really nice dinner at home very easily. You know, the same soup, you just get a plate, you get all the ingredients that you have on the gazpacho, which is some tomato that you chop, a little bit of cucumber, the same cucumber that we put on the gazpacho, we also cut it like a little brunoise. Then we put a little like of the green pepper. Put a little bit of salt. Those veggies. And then we put a little bit of olive oil. Okay, not too much, just slightly, because the gazpacho is already oily. So then you have all these beautiful veggies that you put, you know, on a soup plate.
Qué bonito.
You can have this, yes. And then now it's like, you know, we have some beautiful cherry tomatoes. Like something that I love here in America is like the beautiful of the heirloom tomatoes when the season starts. Something we have to be jealous in Spain is like the beautiful tomatoes that you have here. So, you know, using all those, like especially the cherries now are amazing. There's so many different colors and they're so like sweet also.
Are there any other toppings that sometimes people put on gazpacho that you're not showing this time?
I mean, normally gazpacho, we try to put the same ingredient, you know, in one, actually I didn't put bread because personally I don't like the bread on my gazpacho, but you could also make it thicker and adding a little bread. In this case though, for garnishing, and because I do like to feel some crunchiness when I eat the gazpacho, that's something I think it may be cultural since I've been a kid, because I always like to mix things that makes the crunchiness when you're eating. So in this case, I'm going to get picos, which picos is a super traditional cracker from Andalusia always. You go to Andalusia, you eat ensaladilla rusa, you eat like all these things, and you'll see people getting like crackers and dipping in everything. So keeping everything culturally on the same region, you know, I would cut a little bit of those like little breadsticks that we call picos, and I would put them around. And then imagine you have the guests at home, you know, you put them the plate, and then you have the gazpacho, and you let it fall on the plate. And here you have a beautiful salad, a beautiful drinking salad. So that's another way, you know, you can make it like very humble and have a glass at home when you come and you're thirsty, but you also can make like a very simple soup, something very, very special. What goes amazing with gazpacho? Lobster, uni, scallop, like anything that you think a shrimp, like, you know, like raw shrimp or steer shrimp, you put it on the plate also. Any seafood with the gazpacho is amazing, you know, it pairs really well. So feel free and get adventurous, because like this is an amazing, super simple soup that, as you've seen, we make it like in 15 minutes, pim pam pum, you know, you just need to make sure it's cold. And the rest is like super easy. Okay, how is everyone doing?
Thanks.
Did everyone was able to take the gazpacho, taste it?
Yeah,
I wonder how many people have made gazpacho today. Maybe some people can comment on the chat.
That would be great. I did see we had a few people make some in advance. I made some, and it's in my big pitcher here, ready and waiting for me to taste with the wines, which we'll definitely need to talk about because tomatoes are a challenge when we talk about wine. But Chef, I love that you brought up seafood, which of course is very easy to find all over Spain, and especially in the south of Spain, where several of these wines are from tonight. So I think the next thing you're going to show us is how to make seafood at home, how to make this incredible marinated seafood dish.
Yeah, so that's another amazing recipe that comes from Cadiz, and it's like super popular there, you know, and it's like very usual when you go to eat like pescadito frito in most of the places, especially like the cazón, we call it cazón, that you'll find this type of marinating. That this type of marinating has a lot of influence about Al-Andalus, and you know, like Andalusia and especially Cadiz, where that marinating comes from, is like literally like on the north of Africa. So this is like the south of Spain, and there's literally there we have like Tangier, we have Africa. So there's a lot of influence of like using cumin and using you know, smoked paprika and all those spices, you know. So here we have a very popular tapa that mix all those like cultures, you know, from North Africa and southern Spain, which I think it's like this mixer, it's amazing. Okay, so we said, you know, you want to get a fish that holds the temperature well. In this case we use like black cod. Okay, and the marinating that we used yesterday is super simple as well. It's pimenton, which pimenton now you can use, you can find anywhere like this, like it's from Spain, it's an amazing brand that we love, but you can also use like a smoked paprika from any like supermarket. Okay, then we're going to use like dry oregano, very important. Andalusia, especially like all that part of Cadiz, is huge on oregano. They have so many oregano, they use it a lot, and they dry it out on the sun and they use it in many preparations. And then we're going to use some dry thyme also, and then some cumin that, you know, hot cumin, that all you want to do is like get it on a pan, get hot, and saute a little bit. So when you have all those ingredients, you just put on the same blender that we did the gazpacho. You put the spices, you put the pimenton, you put all the cumin that is already toasted with the vinegar, the water, and the garlic. Very important. And you blend the whole thing until it gets like kind of a marinating liquid that you'll see here. You know, it gets like a little like red from the pimenton, and we don't want to make it too strong. That's why we add the water with the vinegar, because we also don't want to cook the fish too much. You know, if we put so much vinegar, it would like you overcook it. So very simple.
Do you put it on the blender, or you just mix it with a fork, Chef?
No, that one I put it on the blender actually, because there's the garlic also, so it helps the garlic to like break and get chopped. But if you don't have a blender at home, like you can chop the garlic, you can like grate it, you can like, you know, like everything else it like should be you know, already the spices should be blended. But yeah, you can chop, and you like use it the best way you can. So then for that one, I'm gonna need some glove, because the important thing of the fish is that I want to coat it well with the liquid, with the flour, but I don't want to get like too many flour of it. Okay, so I assume everyone has the oil at 360 right now. Okay, we're gonna move just to fry on a little kitchen that we have on the back. But now, very important, you get the fish. Okay, you put it on the flour. In Southern Spain, is very popular also use like semolina flour. You could also mix here, and it's popular in Spain in many places also to use chickpea flour. So, you know, another nice way to like bread things is like use mixing like semolina flour, all-purpose flour, and chickpea flour, and it makes the super nice, crunchy, different, you know, texture.
Is rice flour also an option, Chef?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We don't use rice flour that much in Spain, obviously, but it is an option. Okay. So you can see now how, you know, I put the flour, but I coat it well. That's very important. I don't want like too much flour. We want to be like crispy outside, you know.
There is a question in the chat, Chef, that says, from Linda, it says, can you air fry this fish dish?
Yes, you could. You could, if you like, you know, you just need to make sure that the air fryer, I mean, that's not ideal, because, you know, the Maillard effect, when the flour gets toasted on the oil, always gets like that nice texture. But if you have an air fryer, what I suggest is like make sure the air fryer is preheated before at 400. So bring it up maybe for 5 minutes. And then when it's really hot, then Make sure you also like, you know, you take all the excess of the flour of the fish, and yeah, just do it on the air fryer. Okay, so now you'll see how putting the fish. Smells so nice, like the comino, the pimenton. It's like, that's an amazing marinating.
Chef, will you hold up a
technique.
piece of the fish just to show kind of the size of the piece, because it is going to get a little
Absolutely.
bit smaller during frying. Thank you.
Yeah. So we don't want to do a smaller pieces because we want inside to be flaky and not like dry. So that's why we keep the pieces like a little larger.
Sure.
Okay. And now it's frying time. Let me show you my secret kitchen on the back.
We won't tell.
The secret kitchen. We're coming to fry it.
Where are you now?
So this is the back kitchen on the other place where we are in A, which is a special place inside Jaleo, Las Vegas, which they do an experience for 8 people on a counter every night. So very, very, gently, they let me use their kitchen in order to make it like more fun, okay? So here we have the oil, okay, which is like at 3, we're gonna check because actually, Chef, I know you don't, but Chef, you know, everyone should have one of those at home. You see? Then just.
Is that an infrared thermometer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move it to the center because it's going high now. Perfect. Another way, since people normally doesn't have those things at home, something that you could do also is like get a piece of bread, you know, throw it in and you'll see if the bread starts to fry like faster or not, okay? So we can see that this one still needs a little, like a couple minutes, okay? So I'm gonna move the oil basically on a stronger.
And so one thing we want to make clear is that this is more or less deep frying, right? Not a shallow frying. So you do need a lot of oil.
So exactly. So you need a lot. Yeah, you'll see like on the pot how we have like maybe like 3 fingers of the oil, because like normally in the restaurants they would use a fryer, but you know at home like normally people doesn't have fryer. So you can get a pot. It doesn't need to be that big. It all depends on how many people are you gonna be cooking for and how many fridge, you know, and also. That oil that you use when you're frying, it's something that you can strain on that strainer that we strain the Gazpacho actually, and keep reusing the oil until it's not like burned enough. So it's an oil that you could use only for frying if you like frying. Also.
We encourage people to fry more things, especially if you fall in love with this dish. Yes. Don't be afraid.
You want 350, no, Chef?
Yeah, 350, and I like sometimes, depending if you're gonna put a little, like a larger amount of fish, I'd rather to bring it up because when you put the fish, it's gonna calm down. And you know, I wanna keep really, frying and keep it like nice and crunchy. So like it's almost there.
Do you like?
Now it's 3:52, so it's like another more minute, and we'll be ready. So now we get the fish, and very like this is like frying with oil is something that we have to take very serious. Burning yourself with oil is like very dangerous. So you need to make sure you take the precautions. You don't put too much oil. If you put too much oil on the top, when you put the fried fish, it will like bring all the humidity, would bring the oil up, you know. So always we want to be careful. You always want to go slowly, you know, and put a little bit first.
So you can use maybe a slotted spoon or a strainer like that, a spider.
What oil are you using for this, Chef?
So in this case, I'm using blended oil, which is a mix of like canola. It's 75 canola for 25% extra virgin olive oil. In Spain, so I would be using like a lower acidity.
So you buy both oils and you blend them together, right? 75
exactly.
Canola.
Or sometimes they sell them also already fried. So you see how the fish immediately start frying and start searing. It's important that now the flour coats and sear the fish, so the moist of the fish doesn't go out. Okay, and it seals the fish. It gets crispy outside and then almost a steaming side.
So have you been to Puerto Rico and other countries to help José Andrés with all the relief work in all these different places?
So I actually was lucky enough to support when we had the pandemic and we had to close all the restaurants. I was able to be on a community kitchen, supporting and making nourished foods for like people who would be in need on those like super difficult times. So yeah, it was amazing to be able, to release that stress. And it's amazing how sometimes, even if it's a plato de macarrones or a plate of like warm pasta, a warm dish can make someone feel much better. So yeah, it was amazing actually to be part of all that.
And
so you see now how the color of the fish already, it's almost ready to be moved. It's getting nice and brown. It's the flour. I feel it's already like hard and crunchy. So it's like probably another 30 seconds. And then very important, when we remove the fish, we always want to have underneath paper towel, always, because we want to drain all this extra oil that is going to come. Okay, and when you see the fish that starts floating, that means that the fish is ready to move. Look at the color.
Yeah, it looks great. This is like fried chicken, but in the south of Spain with fish.
Yes, that's the Spanish fried chicken.
And so fast, 2-3 minutes really frying, and that's about it.
Yes. Perfect.
Sam says you can almost smell it.
So now we'll go back because something that I like, with that fried fish, I don't know if we put it on the recipe or not, but it's like eat it with alioli, which this is one of the sauces that the Spaniards love. It's basically an emulsion of like egg, garlic, a little bit of lemon juice, some extra virgin olive oil, also not too strong, like the same that you would use for the gazpacho, and salt. And you make like this emulsion, which is like almost like a garlic mayonnaise, and it's amazing. And it goes so well to like dip the fish. So we would put some mayo on the side. You would get a plate, and we have like some tempura paper here that helps also dry. We want to make sure that now we flip it so that all the excess of the fat goes out. Then the tempura paper.
If people don't have that kind of paper at home, could they do parchment or something else that will
Absolutely, yeah. You can do parchment. You can even like use the same paper towel a clean one that you use.
Sure.
There and here.
Beautiful.
Then we will put the alioli here, maybe for people to dip. And then something I like to finish it also, it's obviously like with a little bit of salt. Just on the flour, because the flour didn't have salt at all. So put a little salt, and then you get a lemon. That's the last touch I like it also, that gives like a really nice touch, which is like with a little grater, you get just a little bit of lemon, and you do like little touches of the skin, very subtle. But you just want to even in the alioli a little bit. And ladies and gentlemen, pescado en adobo al estilo de Cádiz, or bien me sabe. There's this legend also that that this plate, it's called bien me sabe, means almost like, oh, how good it tastes. And some places in Spain, they call it like that because it's honestly like, I'm sure now when you taste it, you'll feel like all the flavors developing. That that simple, like mixing some spices and some vinegar and frying, it makes like a delicious thing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I actually made the dish today, chef, and I didn't macerate. Didn't have, I started today, an hour before the event today, to make it, and still is delicious. So
yes,
I'm fascinated how quick you can make this.
Absolutely.
We're very curious to hear what fish people are using. If you've made this dish in the chat and you want to let us know what fish you've used. Obviously, chef said black cod for this one. In Spain, they typically use something else though, right? They use dogfish.
Yeah, we use dogfish. Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. Well, let's shift gears just a little bit. Chef, you have all of the wines available to you. If you're going to eat a bite of that fish right now, what's the wine that you're going to reach for?
You know what? I have to say, I didn't like sherry at all when I arrived to America, but then I met Jordi, and Jordi actually is like so into sherry, and he made me love sherry so much. We actually like enough to go to southern Spain pretty much together. And you know, it's like I've been a big fan of like sherry, and he made me into, you know, like understanding why sherry pairs so well and how to drink it and the way to enjoy it. And I would say totally with the fried fish, like I would go totally with the Manzanilla.
Well, that is a great transition, because we want to talk to you now about the wines. Tell us your impressions. So right now we're going to shift gears a little bit and have Patrick and Jordi tell us all about these wines and the wine pairings. And we're going to take the spotlight off Chef Ramon so he can enjoy some sherry and not have the spotlight on him quite so much. But thank you. That demonstration was amazing and has given me confidence.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure and enjoy, because I am having goosebumps only with the smell of the fish and the sherry. So thank you very much.
I'm going to say one quick thing. So if you saw your confirmation email, we're having a photo competition. We're going to put some details up on the screen about that in just a second. But anytime between tonight and tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern, you can take a photo and show us all about kind of the experience that you had. Tag the three of us, Olé Obrigado, World Central Kitchen, and Jaleo by José. And we're going to pick a winner, and you're going to get this incredible gift box straight from the José Andrés Classics food collection. So the best photo will win. You've got 24 hours to make these dishes or do whatever you want and show us. We'll announce the winner on Monday. So while we get ready to talk about wine, we're actually going to do something because we want to see you and we want to say hi. So we're going to unlock the camera feature. If you want to join us on screen, you can join us, and we'll have a little bit of toast in a little bit. But really, let's get into this wine pairing. So we're going to let you turn on your camera here in just a sec, and I'm going to hand it over to Patrick and Jordi to talk to us about this Manzanilla and their impressions on the pairing and pairing strategies.
So thank you, Erin. I would like to ask Jordi a question on how he goes about pairing wine with food. No, Jordi does this professionally. He has won so many competitions. He has a few tricks, and I would like Jordi for you to share with us some of your tricks. Maybe not all of them, but you know, some of them, so that we can enjoy more, you know, the experience of food and wine at home.
Sure, definitely. Thank you. Well, first of all, you need to know what's the ingredient, right? But overall, for me, the best pick or tip for pairings is like we've done today. So we're doing traditional dishes from South Spain, like the adobo and the gazpacho. And we have 3 wines tonight, and we have 2 of them that they're from the South. And what they drink the most, it's sherry, right? So I'm for sure that this beautiful Manzanilla will pair really well with the gazpacho and as well with the pescado on adobo. So at the end of the day, you have to think about geographically, tradition and culture, the dishes that are more popular and what people drink in the region, or the ones that are made in the region. For sure, this is never gonna fail. It's like if you're having pizza or pasta or whatever Italian food, I'm sure if you pick Italian wine, is gonna work well. So that's easy. It's just think about what's in the region, what wine are produced, and just play together. And 99% you will be satisfied.
That's an easy rule.
Yeah. So then, as I said, you have to say the ingredient, right? So we have, for example, today the tomato, right? That is made from the gazpacho. Normally, tomatoes are sweeter. So then you can choose 2 ways of pairing the gazpacho. So you can see contrast. So it's gonna say, well, the ingredient, the tomato is gonna be sweeter, and we're gonna find kind of a salty, more salty wine. On the other hand, we can go sweet and sweet. But for example, in this case, well, you have everything, because you have tradition, you have sherry that is gonna pair well because it's tradition. You have contrast as well, because tomato is going to be sweeter, and the Manzanilla is going to be salty. So that is going to balance it out really well. And I want to ask you as well, I find a lot of in these two wines, but Pulgar and the Manzanilla, the soil, I really taste it. What's the main soil in Jerez, Cádiz?
So yeah, I love, before I answer your question, I love this idea of contrast. No, you will never think that a pairing of contrast, it's a good pairing, no, and they're so good. Sometimes you can take a sauterne, no, a sweet wine, and have it with foie gras, no, something sweet with something salty, or you can take.
Yeah, also, if you wanna go more extreme, you've got a blue cheese and a really sweet dessert wine, and it's incredible, like Cabrales or whatever, Stilton blue cheese with a Pedro Ximénez or a sweet Moscatel. It's like, wow.
So salty things with sweet things, no? This is the contrast pairing, no? And that's why the Manzanilla, no, which is salty, goes so well with the Gazpacho, which is sweet, no? I like that. And then the whole idea of geography, that's another trick, no, that you have, no, working with the wines that are made where the recipes come from, no, where ingredients come from.
So then on the other hand, we're gonna have kind of more harmonious or pairing that is gonna be like salt and salt. So we have that beautiful Manzanilla that is like drinking the ocean, a lot of saltiness, and we have that the fried cod that is super salty. It's like salt and salt. It's like you have another example here. So contrast or harmonious is like, it's always a winner too. So then it's like, it depends what you like.
So those are more complementary, no? The using the same ingredient on both the wine and the dish, no? A wine that is very spicy with a dish that is very spicy, for example, no?
Yeah, for example, spicy food, I love wines with a little bit of residual sugar. So this kind of balances it out a little bit, the spiciness and the hotness of the spices. So a little bit of sugar is gonna kind of mellow the spiciness. Yeah.
That's great. So to answer your question about the soil, in this part of the world, in the southwest of Spain, we're very close to the Atlantic Ocean, only, you know, half a mile away from the Atlantic Ocean. And this area is full of limestone, and it's a type of limestone that is very rare, very uncommon, and it's like a sponge. It's not very heavy in weight, and it's able to absorb a lot of water. And as a result, this area during the summer, which is extremely dry, because the soil is able to absorb all the water of the rainfall during the winter, the vines are able to survive because the summers are extremely dry. If it wasn't for this type of soil, you will not be able to grow grapes in this area. No, it will be a total desert. And this soil is very famous. It's responsible for the winemaking of this area, and they call it albariza. Alba in Latin is white, it means white, and risa, it refers to the soil, no? So it's a whitish type of soil. And this soil, in addition to being able to absorb a lot of water, has a pH, the acidity in the soil is very high, allowing the wines to be very balanced in acidity. This is another component that affects the quality of the flavors of the wine. And most importantly, the salinity. This soil not only is able to impart salinity, but also has a sensation of limestone that you can almost taste and touch with your palate. No, you have had many of these wines, and it's so interesting how the limestone, no, imparts this limestone chalky flavor, no, that you can almost touch, no, with your tongue and with your palate.
Yep.
So that's the albariza soil. you find this soil also in Champagne, no, in some other parts of the world, and yeah, it's so interesting. No? If it wasn't for it, we will not be able to have wine in Jerez.
Well, then will be the discussion, where is the terroir? If it's thanks to this beautiful Albariza or is thanks to the cellar? And that's another chapter.
Well, I would like to ask you with Jerez, no, sherry, there's so many different types. No, I don't want to get a lot into this topic, but it's true that sometimes it's confusing, no, because there's so many different styles. Can you tell us a little bit, because you're very knowledgeable about sherry?
I love you guys here. Sorry. So sherry is so super versatile. We can go from the driest to the sweeter style. So there's a range of 5-6 products or styles of sherries. But today that we're having this beautiful Manzanilla, we can talk about the biological sherry. So those are the wines that are fortified and magically, because the situation of the cellar, the humidity, and it creates a yeast, a floor that protects the juice. So that protects the wine from being oxidized. So mostly all the finos and manzanillas will be pale in color and will not have contact with the oxygen. So that's the magic of the sherries that are made with biological aging.
See, I think sherry is a very misunderstood, beverage in America, because you have dry sherries, you have sweet sherries, you have young dry sherries like the Manzanilla that we're drinking.
Yeah.
You also have very aged sherries, that have been aged for 100 years. Almost taste like cognac without the alcohol. So it's a really broad category, and it's unfortunately all of them are called the same, sherry, but it's like drinking white wine or red wine or cognac. There's so many different types. So it's very rewarding journey to discover the different types. But to me, the most amazing thing about sherry is how versatile it is with food.
Yeah.
And you can actually have a whole meal with different sherries. You can have a manzanilla with a gazpacho or some oysters, and then you can have an oloroso with a steak. So it's actually, there's so many different types that you could actually do a full menu of different dishes.
Yeah.
We have a question about how long this particular type of sherry will stay open if you don't. It's a half bottle, so it's not a lot, right? But how long does it keep?
You have to finish it. No, you can keep it open for 2-3 days.
Thanks. So it's very similar to any other white wine.
Being in that format, you have to finish it. You can drink it by yourself.
Perfect. Well, some people have already finished this sherry and they're on to the rosé. If you want to talk about that pairing and that wine.
So I will say with Liquid Geography, that we thankfully there are a lot of supporters in the US of World Central Kitchen, and so far we have raised over $26,000 with Liquid Geography Rosé for World Central Kitchen. And there are different types of liquid geographies. We have a Mencía, some of you have the Mencía, some of you have the Garnacha, and now we also have a Prieto Picudo. And what I personally like about liquid geography with the food that we're having today is the element of sweetness against the garlic and the paprika. I love that contrast, right? Of the spiciness of the garlic and the paprika with the sweetness of, I don't know, Jordi, what you think, or?
Yeah, I'm totally agree with you on that. And also we spoke about it, and it's like when I was for the competition of the US the Copa Jerez, I saw the other guys having a huge storytelling. It's like, wow, I need something else. I need something else. So then I went with Nico. It's like, wow, I didn't realize that, but we're gonna play colors. So sometimes when we're playing with colors, it normally, well, you can be lucky and it works sometimes. So in that case, for example, the beautiful color of the liquid geography and the gazpacho, they're matched perfectly. And then you have of course the saltiness and the sweetness, and it balances it out, and it's beautiful. But colors sometimes
this is a new trick of yours, no? Pairing the color of the wine with the color of the dish, no?
Yeah, normally, sometimes it works, and it's like, for example, if you have gambas al ajillo, right? You're gonna have that beautiful rosé color of the gambas, and it will work really well with liquid geography, with rosé in general.
That's true. Yeah. Gambas al ajillo with liquid geography is a good match.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. And so you spoken about geography, contrast, harmony, color. Any other tricks that you have for pairing wine with food?
Well, then intensity is easy. It's like you're not gonna have a salad with a Cabernet Sauvignon. It's like, so lighter foods, lighter salads, or lighter dishes in general with lighter wines, and more rich and more fuller and more concentrated dishes will go with more fuller wine.
That's great.
So now that, for example, we talk about color, it's like when we're thinking about meat. So white meat, it goes really well with white wines, and then of course red meats, you have red wine. So that's another take here.
So maybe we should go into the Vara y Pulgar now. Mm-hmm. So this is, I know it's one of your favorite wines. You have been working. Jordi, by the way, manages all the Jaleo restaurants in America. And I was fortunate to meet Jordi about 10 years ago now, or 8 years ago, and we actually traveled to Spain together.
Yeah, 2015, I think.
2015. Mm-hmm. And I know that you've been working with Vara y Pulgar for a long time.
Yeah.
Can you tell us your love affair with this wine?
Well, first I was lucky to go with you in the winery, in the property, and it's like, well, as you know, in Jerez or in Cádiz region, is like, I don't know if people know about Palomino Fino or Pedro Ximénez, but people don't know there is red wine in the region. So actually, Tintilla de Rota from a small town in Cádiz, and I'll find it really, really interesting. And as you said in the beginning, that the soil, the albariz, I remember when Alberto poured some water into the chalkiness, and you taste that water, and then you taste the wine, it's like, you feel the chalkiness in the wine. And
that's true. That's true. I forgot about that. Alberto is crazy. Alberto, the winemaker, when you go to visit the winery, what he does, he puts some albariza soil into a bucket, puts water, filters out the water through a strainer, and then he lets you drink the water, and then you try the wine, and you can actually taste the qualities of the minerality of the soil in the wine, which is something incredible.
Yeah. Also, I think the history, I don't know about sherry, that a long time ago in the region were more red varieties than whites.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's before phylloxera in the 1800s.
Yeah. So tell us about the name Vara y Pulgar. I think it's kind of something really interesting and common in the region as well.
So the name of the wine, Vara y Pulgar, is actually the name of the way they train the vines in Jerez. Every country, every region has a different training system. And you train one vine one way or another, depending on the amount of water and the amount of nutrients and amount of sunlight that you have in that area. So some areas that have a lot of nutrients in the soil, they're going to be very vigorous. The vines will be very vigorous. And the way you prune them is more vigorously as well. Or I mean to say, you have more grapes hanging from the canes. In this case, this area of Jerez, it's very poor in terms of organic matter. There is very little nutrients in the soil. So they like to train the vines in this way. Vara means cane and pulgar is a thumb. So it's like a hand with a little thumb and a long finger. From the long finger, which is the vara, you get 8 clusters of grapes. And from the pulgar, you only get 2 clusters. So a year, you only get 10 clusters of grapes for this vine. If you were to do a different type of training system, you will eventually get more clusters, and the amount of nutrients in the soil will not be enough to nourish all the clusters of grapes on the vine. So Vara y Pulgar is the traditional way of training vines in Jerez. No? This is famous. There's other ways of doing it, but they do it in other parts of the world or other parts of Spain. You have Guyot system, you have Pergola system, there are other types, no? But the most famous way of training vines in Jerez is the Vara y Pulgar. And that's why the name of the wine is called Vara y Pulgar. And Tintilla, which is the wine that we're having, this is actually the first Tintilla wine, red wine, still made in Spain in 100 years. It was a very popular grape, and with phylloxera, this disease, it's a worm that killed all the vines in Europe. This grape in Spain almost became extinct, and people stopped producing wines with this grape. And Alberto Orte, the winemaker, was the first person about 10 years ago to start producing a wine with Tintilla. And Tintilla, as you can see, has an element of salinity. It's a little bit salty. It's maybe you tell us a little bit what you think about Vara y Pulgar, about the flavors and. Jordi?
Well, I have to be sincere with you, and it's been a while that I don't taste Vara y Pulgar, and I don't know what you guys made in this 2017, but it's super, more delicate, more elegant, more precise, more direct, with beautiful acidity. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Yeah, you get the smokiness, you get the salinity of the soil, but I'll find it super, super easy, super refreshing with beautiful acidity. And I think it will work really well with pescado en adobo, because here we have, again, salty and again, tradition and culture from the region and wine from the region. And it's incredible. Congratulations.
Thank
you. Know to you or Alberto.
Well, it's a team effort. Also to you, you're part of the team. But Alberto also makes a single vineyard wine with this grape called Atlantida, which is also very special, only 300 cases made. And yeah, Tintilla is a grape that no one knows, but makes unbelievable wines. No, this wine has been 2 years in a row rated one of the best wines in the world by the New York Times as a value wine. No, they publish a list every year, and Vara y Pulgar 2 years in a row, no, is on this list. So
have you guys changed any winemaking process or barrels, or because as I said, it's like, wow, you can even go to Galicia. Wine, this wine is like, wow, it's super delicate and it has more vibrance and more acidity. It's beautiful.
It's more time in concrete tanks now. We do the same oak aging, but then it stays longer in concrete tanks. Than it used to. Because the tannins on oak can be harsh, and it needs concrete tank aging for oxygenation.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
The first vintage was very tannic, because it spent also too much time in oak. Now it's a little bit. I remember
it was more ripe and more fruity and more yummy, and now it's like it's the opposite. I was thinking about the pairing is like, well, we're gonna do kind of contrast with the ripeness of the fruit and the salinity of the codfish, but it's like no, now it's salt and salt.
No, it's delicious. I love how it goes with fish, with rice. Also, I like with paella, fish paella. It's really interesting, no? How this red wine goes with it. Why do you think the Tintilla, Vara y Pulgar goes well with red wine? With fish, sorry.
Well, as we said, for me, you get the character, you get the saltiness, you get the smokiness. In the case of the codfish, you will have the paprika, so that enhances the flavor of the smokiness of the fish. And as well, when we're talking about, for me or for my particular taste, when we're pairing reds with fish, I like to go on a lighter style red. I don't want to overpower with a big red with a lot of tannins with fish, because at the end of the day, you are overpowering the fish. So then when we're thinking about fish, and of course we need fishes that are more kind of more meaty, that has more texture to go with red wines. But if we're choosing a red, we're going to go to more lighter, fresher, vibrant red rather than a big one. But definitely red goes well with fish.
That's great.
Thank you. Thank you both. Those are amazing tips. We've got, 4 or 5 tips all about history, strategy. That's incredible. I want to take just a couple minutes and remember another reason why we're here, besides learning all of these incredible pairing techniques, which is to raise funds for World Central Kitchen. And so we're going to ask Sam to let us know what World Central Kitchen's up to right now and just give us a bit more information. You're going to see a QR code pop up on your screen. If you don't know what that is, we're going to send you an email later and you can click a link. But basically, you can hold up your camera to the screen right now, and it's going to take you right to a link where you can donate more to the efforts that World Central Kitchen is doing. So Sam, tell us what you guys are up to right now.
Yeah, so thank you so much. Obviously this pairing and drinking is fun. I used to work as a sommelier, so this is tapping into deep memory for me. So last time we spoke in September, I don't know if any of you were on that first call with Katie Button and Felix. We were deep in our Chefs for America response, which is what we did for COVID relief. We were supporting mostly restaurants with that work because restaurants were struggling and communities were struggling all around the country. So we were supporting restaurants to cook for their neighbors, to cook for their communities. At this point, we've served more than 35 million meals over our COVID response. And along with that, we put $150 million back into restaurants over the past 15 months now. We started that on pretty much March 16th of last year and been doing it straight through. 35 states all around the country, especially, LA, Oakland, New York, we've done the biggest responses, but pretty much 450 different cities around the country. So we've been really working hard to support restaurants. As we are, kind of coming out of COVID, we've been doing a lot of our normal work, quote unquote normal, which is disaster response in the aftermath of disaster. So in November, we responded to hurricanes Eta and Iota in Nicaragua, Honduras, and Colombia. More recently, we have been in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which is in the Caribbean, close to Venezuela. It's a volcanic island, and the volcano went off for the first time since 1979 and displaced about 20% of the population. It's a small island, 100,000 people, and the island is super beautiful. The north of it is this volcanic mountain that was lush green. It's like the breadbasket of the island. But in mid-April, that breadbasket exploded pretty much. So all of their food resources pretty much were destroyed in one day. So we touched down 24 hours in. We started working with restaurants right off the bat. And within 5 days, which is when I got on the ground, we set up a kitchen and started cooking. So we've been, I think since that was a month ago, we've served 200,000 meals to people in need, to evacuees from the red zone is what it's called in the north, where people had to evacuate because there was literal, imagine the biggest snowstorm you've seen, and instead of snow, it's ash, and imagine having to clear that off your roof. So that's been really intense. A couple of weeks ago, we announced that we were going to support an initiative in India. Sanjeev Kapoor is one of the most famous chefs in India, and he and his teams have been cooking for frontline health workers, which is what we've been doing throughout the United States over the last year. But with the most recent surge of COVID, we realized that that's a very important time, important place to be helping to serve. So I think we're in something like 9 cities all around India, serving thousands of meals a day. So we really are doing global work. It's not possible without folks like you all, without Olé Obrigado, without partners like you guys. Liquid Geography has obviously been a huge supporter of our work. Our restaurant work, every single meal that we, when we're supporting restaurants, each meal is $10. So we've been giving restaurants $10 per every meal that they serve to keep their lights on, keep their employees working. When we're cooking ourselves, like we're doing in St. Vincent, it's about $2 or $3. So, a donation of $10 can buy somewhere between one restaurant meal and support the restaurant, or 5 meals in a place like St. Vincent. In India, we're doing about $2 a meal. So the money goes a long way. So we really we appreciate everything you guys you all do and have done for us. This has been such a positive relationship for many years. Obviously the work with ThinkFoodGroup, like working with Jordi and Ramon, they've been supportive of our work for years and years, working alongside Jose. So thank you all so much. This has been such a pleasure. I'm happy to answer any questions. One note, we have been working in Spain. We worked throughout COVID in Spain. We worked in 35 different kitchens and served more than 2 million meals in Spain over the course of the pandemic. And we also responded to that big snowstorm in Madrid that left a lot of people stranded. So we have been working with some of the communities that you guys all work with. So thank you for everything you guys do.
Sam, thank you so much. We are blowing up that QR code again. As Sam mentioned, your $10 ticket tonight goes a really long way, and any additional donations will go an incredibly long way as well to keep furthering the work. Also, if you loved the rosé, Liquid Geography, which you can drink it at Jaleo all over the United States, and you can find it in stores. We're gonna send you a follow-up email with this information too. So if you've got your hands full of Gazpacho or wine, you don't have to take that scan right now. But we really want to invite you to come join us on camera if you want. Say hello. Let's have a little toast. If you don't know how to switch on your camera, we can help you. Just send a little note in the chat. But we really want to say thank you. I saw that Chef Ramon had to go. Believe it or not, he had to go do dinner 15 minutes from now in that private kitchen, put on another show for some guests tonight. So we want to say thank you so much to Chef Ramon for his incredible demonstration. The rest of us are going to stay for just a little bit longer and be able to answer any of your questions and talk about the wines a little bit more. We'd love to hear your favorites. I'm actually going to put up a poll about a couple other questions that we'd love to ask you, which is kind of how you heard about this event. This is our 10th event, 10th food and wine pairing experience. We've got one next month in June that's going to be all about paella, and very traditional paella valenciana from a chef from Valencia. So that's going to be really cool. We hope you'll tune into that one too. That's another dish that people make a lot of variations on, and we want to show you one perspective on how to make it. But yeah, as I said, we're just so happy to have you here. Patrick, do you want to have a toast?
Yes.
All right.
Sorry, I'm reading the polls. Just wanted to see what the results were. I don't know, actually, before I make a toast, for me, my favorite wine with these two dishes tonight was the Manzanilla, the Orleans Borbon, which is made by the royal family. They initially made this for their own parties, and a couple of years ago, Alberto Orte, my business partner, he's good friends with them, and he was able to convince them to commercialize their Manzanilla. And this is only 1,000 cases made, and I would like to raise my glass with a little bit of Manzanilla, and I'm very grateful to everyone participating. I am also very happy that because of Liquid Geography, we have been able to raise over $26,000 of raising funds for your cause, Sam. And I know, Jordi, you have a lot to do with this. You're the first person that learned about this idea, and you contributed a lot to make this happen. So thank you for the work that you do. It helps so many people, and we're so happy to be a part of it. So nice, Jordi, to see you. Sam, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Patrick.
Said what I like the best to pair with. There's like everyone, when I'm doing training is the best. What I like to pair is with bubbles.
What?
It's the most versatile product for me for pairing.
Which one? Sorry.
Bubbles.
Bubbles.
Oh, bubbles. Bubbles with what?
With everything.
With everything, no? You have
a
a bubble addiction, no? You're on mute. Estás en mute ahora, I think.
I think we lost connection. So what you're saying, Jordi, is that we can see you at another session in a few months. We're going to do bubbles and everything. We'll do a bubbles with everything pairing. You'll be our host.
Se te ha cortado el micrófono, Jordi, I think. Your microphone is not working right now. But yeah, such a happy moment. Thank you everyone for joining. This is our 10th episode. We hope that you're learning some tips about how to make traditional Spanish and Portuguese dishes, and also learn how to enjoy more pairing wine with food. There are so many ways to go about this, and ultimately, what I love about pairing wine with food is that wine can actually amplify the flavors of food and can make the same dish taste so much better, no? And discovering that is so much fun. And help us spread the word about these events. You know, if you have friends that are foodies that like cooking and like wine, you know, spread the word.
Well, thank you all. We hope to see you again on another one. There's the QR code for next month's experience, so you can sign up right away if you want to join us in June. And cheers.
Mary likes the bubbles. I can see. And feel the Gazpacho, eh? Yeah, new to me also with the sherry, you know, with the oloroso, no? Was it oloroso, Jordi? The wine that chef put in the Gazpacho? Sí, no?
It was Oloroso. But
he
he added Manzanilla for the one he made live. Yeah.
I see.
So you can experiment. Well, we just want to say thank you again. It's so nice to see friends and family from all over the country here with us tonight. Shout out to so many of you, and you can unmute yourselves if you want to ask a direct question. This is the part where we stop recording and we say officially farewell, and we'll hang out for a few more minutes if you want. So thank you all again. Cheers. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next time.